there, my name is Jordan Leroy Hansen, also known as LedDev, and I'm here to continue on the next part of the Rastakhan Rumble card review. Now, we got the whole set reviewed now, pretty much 36 cards left to review, so what I decided to, 46 cards left to review. That's quite a lot, so I decided to split this video into two videos where I'm going to review 23 cards in this part of the video, and then the last 23 in the next video. Nevertheless, it will be a little lengthy, so you probably already see that if you see the length of the video, so I apologize for that in advance, but I kind of wanted to get these videos out as soon as I can. So, nevertheless, just a quick, if this is the first time somebody's watching the review, let me just go through the scores real quick. Amazing. It means a card will probably see meta to play, or it has a very high power level that playing the card's kind of not a silly idea. It's actually a really good idea to play the card. A good card is a card that is not necessarily going to be meta shifting, but it's a good card to try out in your deck. Like, you can try it and not have too much pullback from a meta, in my personal opinion. Not that great, but is a card that has a noticeable con, but if you do tailor your deck around it, or at least keep in mind of the card's flaws, you could do alright with it. Still, it has weaknesses, no denying it. And bad are cards that I feel, in general, with the exception of Arena, in constructed meta, I would highly not recommend playing the card. Nevertheless, let's get started with Splitting Image, a free mana mage secret that has, when one of your minions is attacked, summon a copy of it. Now, being able to use this secret to semi-protect a powerful minion is really nice. One of the rare secrets that don't have a predictable trigger, so it'll be tricky for opponents to guess which secret you're playing. The catch is, when the opponents are aware of this secret in the meta, they're just going to attack the least powerful minion to trigger the secret. Still, that can be used to force the opponent for inefficient trading, which is actually pretty cool, and it also has a chance to see competitive play due to the meta having some powerful minions. But I'm not 100% sure of that because of the factor of how predictable it is, and I think some people are just going to play around it. Like, let's say the best case scenario that everybody's thinking of, oh, let's get a copy of the Lich King. Honestly, I think people are just going to either A, silence the Lich King, or B, destroy the Lich King before they try to trigger off your Splitting Image. So, overall though, I think the card is good. I do think it's a card you can test in mage decks and still have some relative success with it. Next up, and it's a highlight card, we got the new hero card of the set, which is for Hunter, which is Zul'jin, I believe is how you pronounce it. A 10 mana hero, and it has the battle cry, cast all spells you played this game. Targets are chosen randomly, you get 5 armor, and your hero power changes into Berserker Throw, which is 2 mana to deal 2 damage. New hero cards are always exciting to see, and the fact that this card's battle cry is, in a sense, a Yogg-Saron that you can control how Yogg-Saron spells are cast, essentially kind of makes this card very powerful. Hunter do have a lot of spells they don't mind recasting again, some ranging into the absurd range: Emerald Spellstone, Flark's Boonzuka, Animal Companion, a whole ton of secrets. I mean, in fact, recasting secrets so Hunter, when this goes off, gets kind of the Christmas tree of secrets, as we like to call it, can be very silly, especially when they generate the board state. The only con with the card is, as kind of I sounded when I was talking about it, the new hero power is not that exciting compared to ones in the past, like Deathstalker Retsar. Everybody loved the card generation of that. However, it's still alright. The factor that this is essentially 2 mana, deal 2 damage to a minion or an opponent can help you control the battlefield, which is really nice. Also, another con to mention is that damage-based spells could hit your minions, so keep that in mind. I still think the card might see competitive play. It might take till standard rotation though, since Death Knight Retsar is really powerful, but some people are making the argument that it will probably either see play in correlation with one another, or it's going to be kind of tailored around where you can play both of them, but you just work on the timing. Nevertheless, though, this card has a lot of power into it, so I'm going to say it's amazing. I think this card will see competitive play, no sweat about that. Next up, another legendary, this time neutral, and it is kind of a doozy. It is Mojo Master Sihi, I think is how you pronounce that. It's a 6 mana 5/5 with a battle cry, set each player's mana crystals to 5. So, for clarification's sakes, here's how it works. If you play this right on turn 6, you pretty much will spend all your mana crystals. You don't get 5 extra mana crystals, so to speak. They'll be empty. And then your player will go start their turn, and they'll start with 6 mana crystals. You go to 6 mana crystals. Now, if you play this, say, on turn 10, then you will have 4 remaining mana crystals out of the 5 in the pool. And as I said before, opponent will go to 6 on their turn, then it goes vice versa, etc., etc. One of the powerful tech cards that is actually provided by this set, the card is a great counter for combo decks as well as just early game ramp decks. This card's ability to slow down is nothing to sneeze at. Granted, slowing them down to 6 mana can be debatable how hard counter it is to Druid. It might be a hard counter to Druid. However, this is a seriously hard counter to combo decks that try to win with 10 mana combos. Being able to stall them, especially during fatigue matchups, is great. It's going to be very dependent on the meta, but if combo decks are still popular, this is a good tech card against it. The one concern I have with the card, and it's the one that I'm kind of scared about, this might actually be a scary strong tech card for combo Shuttlewalk Shaman. Since having this does allow the archetype to counter one of the more popular cards that opponents like to play to counter Shuttlewalk combo, which is Azleen or Soul Thief, because Azleen and Soul Thief, as we all know, cost 7 mana. When you set it to 6 mana, you can't cast Azleen or Soul Thief, which might slow them enough for the Shuttlewalk combo to just go off with their combo, which is a scary thought. That just them being able to counter is really my main scary thought concern. However, is it intuitive in those decks? One could argue yes, one could argue no. Still, this card will probably see play in the right metas, but just the fact that it has that round of tech, it makes the card amazing. This is a card that's going to counter combo decks, and it's going to definitely slow Druid down a few turns, which I think is going to make some players very happy. Next up, wow, we got another amazing card. It's Spirit. I'm going to spoil this. It's a Spirit of the Rhino, a 1 mana 0 free. Stealth for 1 turn. Your rush minions are immune the turn they're summoned. Yeah, I'm just going to spoil the score with you. It's amazing. This is a potentially very powerful upgrade to Rush Hunter. There's just no denying that. And it synergizes with Akali the Rhino. Actually, it just synergizes with a lot of legendaries warriors have. It synergizes with Dr. Boom. It synergizes with Gilneas. I mean, having this card out and getting your mechs have the rush and the ability to be immune the turn they're played is potentially very powerful. The only catch is, well, most rush minions you want to play on curve, Ziliat's turn 5, Angry Wolf on turn 3, Angry Worgen on turn 3, etc., or Raging Worgen. You know what I'm talking about. So you want to play them kind of on curve. So finding the time to play this will be a teeny bit tricky. Do you want to wait a turn to play the Rush Minion and just have the 1 mana so you can play Spirit of the Rhino? Or do you play Spirit of the Rhino a turn before and then play the Rush Minion on curve? That's only time will tell how the meta will evolve and alter how this card's going to see play. Still, this is a very powerful upgrade to Rush Warrior, as even well as Odd Warrior, since Odd Warrior does use a lot of Rush minions. I would be dumbfounded if this card does not see competitive play. Like, this card is just stupidly absurd of the benefits you get out of it. So yeah, this card's amazing. It will see competitive play. I would be shocked if it didn't. Next up, we go to a rogue pirate, the Bloodsail Howler, a 2 mana 1/1, which has the ability of Rush, which is nice, and a battle cry to gain +1/+1 for each other pirate you control. So let's go into the Magical Christmas Land scenario. Magical Christmas Land scenario is having 6 pirates on the field. Playing this as a 2 mana 7/7 with Rush seems pretty good. On the other hand, is there a pirate deck that will have 6 pirates on the battlefield by the time you play this? I highly doubt it. However, an even rogue playing Weapon, Sharkfin Fan on turn 2, and then this on turn 3 to make it a 4/4 rush is not that bad. Still, prone to silence, so it'll be interesting to see if this card sees play. I highly doubt it, though. Still, a decent card to test in Pirate-centric road decks. As long as you have 2 pirates on the battlefield, it's alright as a 2-mana 3/3. Another way to look at it is just a semi-removal spell for pirate decks, which that's actually probably the better way to look at it. Nevertheless, I'm still going to give it the rating, not that great, but I feel like in general this is a card that's only for the pirate deck, and really it's working for a very specific pirate deck, like one that will have pirates on the battlefield consistently, and whether or not that's a possibility, we really just have to wait and see. Next up, a board wipe for Prees, well, sort of, kind of. It is 5 mana, Mass Hysteria. Force each minion to attack another random minion. This is an interesting board wipe style card for Prees. While it won't deal with all type of board states, it could deal with ones that are currently popular in the meta, such as Zoo decks, though on the other hand, you could make the argument that it doesn't help against, say, Taunt Druid board states late game, so yeah, especially since they have high toughness and low attack. Since in general, the stats will be very different with Token Shaman, but on the other, or not Token Shaman, blah, brain fart on that one, on Taunt Druid, but on the other hand, like Zoo decks, like Zoo Warlock, and even Shaman, that's what I was thinking, their stats usually stay the same, which makes the board wipe kinda decent. One thing to keep in mind, you can also alter the battlefield to make the random trades favorable to you, like maybe you can have a poison minion on the battlefield, or hit a minion to make sure their health will not allow it to survive a random fight, etc., etc. I think it's a decent board wipe for Prees. It will not work against all matchups, but you'll be grateful to have it. That's why I give it the rating of good. It's an alright board wipe, and I think Prees are very grateful they have another board wipe to help stall for their late game plans. Next up, a new Hunter spell, the Beast Within. A 1-mana epic, which is give a friendly beast +1/+1, then attacks a random enemy minion. The power of the card does come from the fact that the minion doesn't waste their attack from attacking with this card, so you can use a minion to quote-unquote double attack, which may be powerful. The stat buff is minimal, but it's a nice addition to help lower cost beasts trade with higher cost minions. Potentially silly shenanigans with cards like Undasta and even the new hero card that Hunter got. I don't know if it will make it play in a competitive deck, but I think it will probably be a fun card to at least test out at the very least, which, with that, that's the epiphany of, for me, a good card. It's a good card, you can test it and see what happens. I don't know if it will see competitive play, but I think it's a fun card to test out at the very least. Next up, we got the legendary Loa for Shaman, which is Quagwa, the Frog. It is a 6-mana 4/6. With the battle cry, return all spells you played last turn to your hand. While it's tempting to get greedy with Spirit of the Frog to cast a lot of spells and cast this next turn for absurd value, I feel this is still just a decent card if you just get 1 to 2 spells from it. One silly combo, though, is doing Unstable Evolution last turn and then using this to get all your copies of Unstable Evolution back. Because remember, it is considered you playing the spell when you cast the Echo card, so you're going to get a lot of copies of Unstable Evolution. But still, for the most part, spells you put in your deck, you don't mind getting extra copies of. And this card does just that. You need an extra copy of Hex, and you played Hex last turn? Well, play Quagga the Frog, now you get Hex to help you against peculiar board states. I'm pretty sure this will probably see competitive play, but I also can see it not with how slow the stats are. Still, I think the card is amazing, and will probably see competitive play, though there can be arguments for it not, but I'll let my little bias say, yeah, it's probably going to see play. Next up, the Tree Speaker. A 5-mana 4/4 with the battle cry, transform your Treants into 5/5 Ancients. Which are not Treants, keep that in mind. They're just big 5/5s, they don't have the Treant clause, so good note to keep in mind. It is tempting upgrade for Treant decks though, or even just token Druid decks in general, and being able to make your Treant tokens into 5/5 seems potentially very silly on some peculiar board states. The only con I can think of, it's technically, the ancients are not treants, as I mentioned before, so when they die, it does not reduce the cost of Mulch Muncher. I don't know if that's a big con, since not many people are playing the treant variation of Token Druid, or at least the one that runs Mulch Muncher, but it's still worth the note. And then also turn 8 playing a token generator such as Landscaping, I think it's the name of the card, that summons 2 treants, and then this seems to be just good tempo play. Having 2 5/5s out is just, and a 4/4 is pretty good. And even you can play this on turn 5 with that 5 cost treant generator that I always forget that makes you lose mana crystals with how many treants are on the field. I always forget the name of it. And then playing this, the Tree Speaker, could potentially provide a very silly combo that might be a good finisher, but make sure you don't do that combo until you know it's a good finisher and you know your opponent doesn't have a board wipe of sort. Still, I think it has a chance to see competitive play, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So with that, I think I'll just give the card good. I think it's a really good card for Token Druid to try out, but it probably will not make it in competitive meta decks. Still, fun card at the very least. Next up is Scorch. It is a 4-mana mage spell, rare, which is deal 4 damage to a minion. If you played an elemental last turn, this costs 1 mana. While the main con of the card is the fact that the spells can only target minions, the main benefit is that discount you get if you played an elemental last turn, and a 1 mana deal 4 damage to a minion is really good. Elemental Mage is a thing, and they might use this card to control the battlefield to keep their elementals alive. However, it is a spell, and in a minion-centric deck design, it might be a bad idea just to include an extra spell, especially with a tribe that requires minions to be played of that tribe before you get their really good synergies. Still, it's a decent control spell. With that, I would say it's good. That's really safe to say. It's just a decent removal spell that works for one specific tribe type, so it's good. Next up, we get to the Ornery Tortoise, a 3-mana free 5 beast. Deal 5 damage to your hero. Okay. While the stats are decent for a free job, and you might have potential in Heal Paladin or decks that want to damage themselves, still losing 1/6 of your health? Ugh. I'll be surprised if this sees play. Yes, it's a beast, so it might have beast synergies, but I just feel like that battle cry is... I don't want to pay a 3-mana free 5 if it costs me doing 5 damage, especially in a Zoom meta, so I'm going to say the card is bad. I would be very cautious when playing this card. Next up is a Warlock common spell, Demon Bolt. For 8 mana, you destroy a minion, but it costs 1 less for each minion you control. While this is definitely pricey for spot removal, the fact that it can be discounted depending on your board state is actually a pretty nice compliment for this. And Warlock definitely would want more unconditional spot removal, so it will probably see play. Maybe not, since Soul Siphon is in some senses a lot better version than Demon Bolt, but you can't discount Siphon Soul, so yeah. I feel like this is a card you can at least test without a sweat, so with that, it's unconditional spot removal, it's good. You'll probably see it play once in a while, or maybe a lot frequent, who knows. Next up, the Flash of Light, a 2-mana Paladin common spell. Restore 4 health, draw a card. Simply put, this is a good card. It's a cycle card with a heal attached to it, which is not bad. In other classes, it might be debatable, but in Paladin, it is really good, especially with all the heal synergies that are coming from the expansion for the Heal Paladin archetype. The card is kinda simple. It's a cycle card that's also a heal spell, and that, with what Paladin is going into with the Heal Paladin archetype, is just enough. You might not even have to play this in Heal Paladin and just use this as a simple cycle spell to keep yourself alive and just dig into your deck. So, yeah, the card is the epitome of a good card. Next up is a Warlock common spell, the Blood Troll Sapper, a 7-mana 5/8 that has, after a friendly minion dies, deals 2 damage to the enemy hero. Oh boy, this card could potentially be a scary finisher in Zoo mid-range decks. In some instances, this card could deal 12 damage to an opponent, which is pretty silly. Also, casting this without a board state is also not that bad, because the effect of it being on the battlefield will mess up with the opponent with their game plan, because they'll be like, okay, do I try to remove this first? Or do I try to build up my board state? Do the opponent have a rush minion that they can use? I know many people are kind of down on the card due to the high cost, but I think this is a card you don't want to underestimate. Especially with how many ways Warlock has way to sacrifice their own stuff for beneficial effects. I think this is a card that will see competitive play. I am not kidding. So overall, with that, I mean, it's the bare minimal competitive play. Like, it really depends on if this type of sack zoo warlock deck is a thing, but I think it's possible. And with that, it gets the slight, very close rating of amazing. I was tempted just to say this is good, but I feel like this as a finisher in some deck archetypes is nothing to sneeze at. Next up, the Blood Claw, a 1-mana 2/2 weapon. Ooh, Battlecry, deal 5 damage to your hero. Ew. Okay, look. I know this card's main purpose is to incentivize a heal package. That is true. And I know it's a 1-mana 2/2 weapon, which is really silly, especially helps you control early game aggro. That, don't get me wrong, that is perfect. However, this weapon, along with trading minions, will on average deal 10 damage to you, which is... I mean, yeah, it is the investment for this card is so you can play heal spells or play the heal paladin archetype. And it might be just worthy to invest in that 5 health just to remove a problematic minion that you know is going to consistently try to deal damage to you. But this is a weapon I'm kind of split on. I could be shocked, but I feel this weapon is bad, except if only you're in Heal Paladin or you are heavily invested in hero-like spells. Though this is the one that I will admit that I could be wrong, though. So with that, I'll say it's not that great, but I don't think it's a great card, but in the Heal Paladin archetype, it could be relatively decent, or actually really, really good. This is the one I'm split on, though, in my personal opinion. Next up, the 2-mana Cheaty Ankle Biter, a neutral minion, common, with lifesteal. It's a 2/1 with a Battlecry to deal 1 damage. A part of me is tempted to say this is a not that great but, or even maybe say good, but with the life gain synergies that are in Hearthstone, this might be a good card. However, a 2-mana for a 2/1 with lifesteal, I'll just be honest, feels kind of bad. Some might look at this as just a 2-mana gain free health. The problem is, it's a 2/1, which means it is prone to a lot of early game spot removal / board clear. Honestly, I don't think the card's that great. You might try play in an arena just for decent trading, but I think personally the card's bad. I don't think this is a card you want to test out in your competitive decks. There is an argument, though, for like the combo it has with, say, the 6-mana Paladin spell, or not spell, 6-mana Paladin minion that whenever you heal, you deal damage to a random opponent, so this does deal 1 damage and another 1 damage to something else. But I feel like that's too inconsistent. Yeah, I think this card's bad. I think this is the card you want to be very careful when playing it. Next up is the... Hang on a minute. Okay, let's get through this. Next is a 1-mana Serrated Tooth, which is a 1-mana 1-free weapon with Death Rattle, give your minions rush. A 1-free weapon for Rogue is actually pretty good. The Death Rattle can help make non-rush minions have rush, which, with Death Rattles or even other attack-based triggers, is kind of insane. Still, it's a weapon that is prone to weapon hate, so keep it in mind. And it makes Sharpfin Fanatic actually look like a more tempting card to play, which is saying something. This card will be experimented in Rogue. It's actually a pretty good card. I think you can experiment it in decks that want to get the rush ability without a sweat. Next up, a neutral common from the set, the Halftime Scavenger, a 4-mana free 5 with stealth, and has the overkill effect to gain free armor. The high toughness is what convinced me about the quality of this common. You can at least get 1 overkill trigger in theory with it, so that stats for free armor is fine. The con is that the card could be worse to not play on curve since it might not get the overkill trigger later game. However, the high toughness might allow it to see play in buff priests, especially the fact that it has stealth, which makes it hard to remove, which is very nice. It's a safe card to test in the meta, I would say, and with that, I'll give it the rating of good. You can try this out in, I would say, buff priests or even just general decks that would like the armor gain, and you'll be fine. Next up, the one card that's supposed to convince us to go into Fight Druid, Pounce, a 0-mana spell to give your hero 2 attack this turn. Now, this card obviously synergizes with the Fight Druid they're trying to support with the Spirit/Low of the set, and it might just make the archetype work. I don't know if it would make it competitively viable, but it will make the archetype at least work decently. It could be used for early game board control, and even just the late game combo with the Loa, which is actually really nice. I'm still not 100% sold on the card, or even the concept of Fight Druid in general. Still, the card is not that bad. It's not amazing, but it just works in the archetype you want to play this in. And with that, I'll give it the not that great, but. It's a card that I could see play if people are trying to do the Fight Druid archetype, or even trying to synergize with the Savage Striker, so you play this, and then you can deal 2 damage with the Savage Striker to one of the minions, and then either trade into a minion or deal damage to your face, so, or just play with Gonk in general, so with that, yeah, it might see play, but I'm not 100% convinced on it. Next up is the Mush-Ogg Enforcer, an 8-mana 2/14 with Taunt and Divine Shield. I would say this is actually a pretty decent arena card. There is going to be some really fringe circumstances where this is a constructed viable card, though. You might see it play in buff please, but the thing is, it dies to any spot removal, which will feel bad. And 8 mana, the plays you want to need to have a significant either board control advantage or card advantage, and this, a 2/14 with Taunt and Divine Shield, I don't think does that. Still, one thing to mention in mind, and I always forget the name of the legendary in the Witchwood for Priest that does make it where it casts Inner Fire on your minions in your deck. That might be a deck where this minion might see play, because casting Inner Fire on it while it's in the deck and then making it an 8-mana 14/14 Taunt Divine Shield would be kind of silly. I'm not going to deny that. Still, this just might be a card you might experiment at least once, and then realize that due to its prone to spot removal, is not really that great. But I could still see it at least tested in buff priests, at the very least. Next up is the Headhunter's Hatchet, a 2-mana 2/2 weapon that has a battle cry. If you control a beast, gain +1 durability. This one's a pretty quick card you can talk about. It's a good card. It's another cheap weapon for a hunter, which is not that bad. The extra durability is not absolutely necessary, but it's nice. And if there's a deck that feels they need an early game weapon besides Candle Shot, you can give it a go. It's the epiphany of just a good experimental card. Next up, Spirit of the Lynx, and it's oh, nope, not the last one, second to last one, though. Spirit of the Lynx, a 3-mana 0/3 with stealth for 1 turn, and whenever you summon a beast, give it +1/+1. While it will be awkward to determine the time to play the card, it is a pretty good buff card for Hunter. This, on the battlefield, when you cast Emerald Spellstone, is legitimately nuts. And Hunter do play a lot of beasts, and getting a 1 health, 1 attack boost is not that bad. The catch is it's not a beast, however, so it doesn't do beast synergies with itself, and it's also prone to board wipe removal, so you gotta keep that in mind. However, I think it's a safe card to test in a beast-centric deck design, and with that, it's the epiphany of just a really good card. I say the card's good, I think you can test it in a deck without a sweat. The last card we're going to talk about before we end this 2-parter is the Dragonmoor Sculpture. A 5-mana free sits with, that's a dragon, that has a battle cry to deal 1 damage to all other minions. This is... wow. I was really tempted to give this amazing, though the card does a lot for 5 mana. It's a dragon, which will help with dragon synergies. It has a whirlwind effect, which will control the board. The only catch that's making me not go throw this into an amazing is just the stats. The stats for a 5-drop, a free sits is okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. I am tempted to say this will see constructed play, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I still think it's a good tech card if you're going against the zoo meta like Baku Paladin and such, or if you want the ability to deal damage to the opponent if you have spells that benefit with damage-based synergies. So, obviously, if you're playing the Dragon Warrior deck that wants those synergies, you'll probably be playing this card. So, yeah, with that, I think it's the epiphany of a good card. You can test in your decks, and it will pretty much benefit you a majority of the time. I'm still not 100% sure on competitive playability, though. Whew, and with that, that's the part, I believe, this is the second to last part of the Rastakhan card review. Wait for the next video where I review the rest of the cards. And that one might be a little long one too, but I hope you've been enjoying this series. I hope you've been enjoying seeing my 2 cents on cards. I hope you all have a lovely day. This is LevDev, signing out.